It's been a hot minute since I did an update video for the Jeep or anything farm or garden related, so I figured this is the newest upgrade, I guess, if you will, that I've gone after. This is the DeWalt 20V Max Series 10 tool kit. I have been looking at this for quite some time, as I've been looking at a couple of the tools in it as things that I want to put part of my Jeep collection. This blower helps me clean out the Jeep because I have dogs in it every day, 4 of them, so it gets messy. The vacuum cleaner as well, that's really handy. Those are the 2 primaries that I wanted, and I was going to buy these 2 and actually these 3 anyway, so for the price it was a really good deal, but I found some other cool things about it. This unit particularly, if you take off both of the attachments for it, it actually has inflator nozzles, so for the air mattress and everything that's in the Jeep, that will be really handy. And this here, the Bluetooth speaker, also has a USB plug on the side, so you can use the batteries to charge and power USB devices while you play music from the batteries. I do already have 3 of these tools. These 3 here I bought in a kit a little over a year ago. And there are some pros and cons to these kinds of sets. I think this is the only XR series tool in the whole kit. Everything else is their standard brushed motor. There's a huge, get brushless, get non-brushless. There is a difference between the 2, wear and battery life and all those magical things that everyone complains about. However, truth being told, unless you're really using these every single day on a job site to, cut through 2x4s and you're building homes, or you're really wearing these tools, this impact driver is a non-XR, and I have that one here. I rotate my tires religiously about every 3,000 miles. I've done it about 8 times since I've owned this Jeep in the course of a year. It has enough torque to take on and off all the lugs. I do all 5 tires every time, and it never fails me. 1 battery use is more than sufficient. And I also did my entire lift on this vehicle with that same tool. So that was the 4-inch Mopar lift. The other one that I also have in this series, which I'll just show you the one that I have, just to kind of show you the wear style that I run for. This is a 1-year-old tool. I hurt and break tools. I will destroy anything as quick as I can just because I play hard. That's why I go with the DeWalt, because they kind of hold up quality-wise compared to most others, and they're warranted. An interesting thing that I thought that was really cool with these is they actually dielectric grease the prongs on the devices in the packaging so they don't corrode when you slide the batteries on and whatnot. So that's pretty neat. But again, back to the brushless debate here. This is a brushed 20V max drill. Oh, as I throw it on the ground, and it will still work, I promise you that. This I actually used to drill out a 1-inch. This thing will literally never stop working, I swear. On the steering knuckle, when you do the lift, you have to shake your drag link. I just had the plastic in here. Your drag link connects right over here, and this here originally comes in from the bottom, this arm here. So when you do the lift, you actually flip it over. This is a V-shaped or tapered hole. So in order to do that, what you do is you re-tap it at 1 inch, and then you pound back in an insert to make it tapered from the other direction, so you can cinch it tight. So through this, what would be about 3/4 of an inch piece of steel, I had to drill a 1-inch hole perfectly straight, and this drill right here did that hole, and it did it perfectly straight. So from a power output, performance, rugged durability, I mean, as you saw, I just beat this thing a little bit while I wasn't intending to. It's just kind of the ownership of heavy-duty tools. You're going to drop them, you're going to hurt them, you're going to beat them, and that's kind of the point of the tool. So if you're going to buy them, buy something that's going to last. And when it comes to battery-based tools, I've had several in the past. My garage is a complete mess right now. My Portacable 18V was the previous one. Those are NiCd batteries, nickel metal cadmium. Those don't last quite as long. Their charge cycling is very limited, so the batteries become expensive because you need to buy them every couple of years or a year or so, depending on your use rate. So this kit for me was really pretty much the need-be tools for the Jeep. And then some extra ones that are basically freebies for me. I'm pretty excited about the Bluetooth speaker, and the blower and the vacuum seem to work really good. The vacuum's a little bit less suction than I was hoping for, but it still does a good job. And the only other one thing I've noticed is this Bluetooth speaker does not seem to you can lift up the unit with the battery on the back, but you can also drop it and the battery falls out. Unlike the tools in the series, there's no catch for that tongue. That's the release tongue when it's on a tool. And there's nothing on this device that actually catches that. It just free floats in there. So the device works fine, but if you were to drop it, then it would unplug and you'd have to repair it. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. The new batteries do come with a nice charge indicator, so you can tell what charge state they're at, unlike my old 2 amp hour batteries that do not. So those are some cool features that come with it. And like I said, the blower comes with a couple of different attachments that make it nice for inflating your mattresses, or I have an inflatable kayak as well that I've recently got. That's actually something to show in the video too, I guess. And these are the inflator nozzles for all your different things, the extension pipe. But those all get charged with this cute little charger. You can do your 12 volt or your 20 volt, and I plug that into my inverter, and while the sun's out, I just turn it on and it does a bypass mode. So I'm actually charging all of my batteries without any other battery. It just goes direct DC to AC inverted, and then I charge all my stuff. And I have, you know, a total of 8 amp hours in just these batteries. I plan on getting some of the larger ones down the road. But as for now, these are the primary tools that I'll probably carry in my Jeep. I'll probably drop out a couple of them, like the nibbler and some of the woodworking things like a skill saw, and replace one of those with a chainsaw. They make a 20 volt chainsaw that's actually really nice. But again, these are kind of handy things that if you can make something you're using on the go have a battery system that you can use for numerous other applications, so that you don't have to have one, you know, tool that uses a specific battery or specific plug and then have to switch to another one, and so on and so forth. By just using this one uniform battery system, it's really handy. DeWalt also makes an inverter that you can stick 4 of these batteries into, and it goes up to 1800 watts. The only one thing I've looked at that is I don't see any kind of input for solar charging those batteries. If they could put a solar charge controller coupled with that, even if it was a snap-on unit to the end of it, that would make it a lot more likely of a purchase for me in the future, because then I can do remote work. I plan on building a little hunting cabin out in the woods and having a lot of tools handy by that are all electrically driven, and more so battery electrical driven is very handy because you don't have to deal with cords or anything like that. Some other things, this Bluetooth speaker, as mentioned, while you're playing, you can actually charge a USB device. You can do an auxiliary in, so if you still have headphones, that still works. And it has this, a 12 volt DC barrel connector, and it comes with the DC plug for that. But this here is a wiring system that I have in the Jeep that uses those barrel connectors for numerous different things, as well as this outputting for that. So I can not only play the radio in that manner, but I can also charge a USB device through this thing as a secondary. So I can plug this into the Jeep itself, play music, and be charging a USB without having that plug necessarily in the back of the Jeep. And also charge the batteries again with the solar. So that's the newest excitement in the Jeep world. But pretty much a little tiny leaf blower and a little tiny vacuum cleaner, which the vacuum cleaner again is very awesome. It's little, it's compact. It has the hose that pops off, so you've got the regular, and then you got the little fine tip, and the battery goes in here. The only disappointment here again, I think, is the suction rate isn't as good as I want. And this is for all those designers over at DeWalt that might have sympathy on themselves and watch YouTube and stay away from the comments, because you're going to get trashed. So I've already used it a little bit, and as you can see, there's still dirt in it. And the reason for that is the edges of this. Oh, there's the safety marker there. So if you're stealing it, make sure you take that out of the vacuum cleaner. But this top edge curls in. So then if you try and pour it out, still dirt in it. Still dirt in it. So you have to really shake it out. Kind of obnoxious. I wish they would have thought of that and maybe put a pour spout on it, because if you do suck up any liquids or anything that's a little bit goopier, it's kind of a pain to clean that out. Contour, shapes, and things like that are important in areas you clean. So for, again, those engineers at DeWalt, let's work on smoothing the inside of this and maybe having a pour spout, or just not having a concaved lip edge around it. But all things considered, having a vacuum cleaner that I can clean up doggy mess in the Jeep with, I get tons of crumbs from the dogs eating biscuits and things in the Jeep and dog fur everywhere in the Jeep. So I'm a little OCD and I like to keep things very clean. And this will do that very well. And the additional batteries and some larger equipment down the road will help me build some things on the go from the Jeep. And possibly if that inverter has some better charging capabilities. Right now, I believe it only charges through AC. I'll probably be getting one of those because you can charge 4 batteries at the same time while it's plugged in, and you can also power devices with it up to 1800 watts and has a peak load of 3600 watts, which is pretty awesome. You can power basically a refrigerator with that. But yeah, that's the latest update of the Jeep.